Hey, yo. Hey, yo.
Hey, oh,
Hey, ho. Let's
I got
go.
caught in like that trance of music, and I wasn't sure when we were gonna get out of it.
There's one that doesn't even have like a countdown number. It's just graphics. So I'm like, I have no idea what you're supposed to do. You just sit there and wait, and you're like,
Yeah.
The ones that I love, like YouTube channels that I love to watch, only for cringe reasons. This is before cast. Let's go and put this up. So this is very obvious that this is not podcast related stuff. Okay.
This is not the, lest you be confused that this is the main show. Obviously, the main show's good. This isn't, so don't be confused.
This part doesn't matter. Is that when someone has like an incredible fire 3D intro, and then their energy doesn't match, so like it'll be like,
I love that.
Hey guys, I'm Josh, and I'd like for you to like, subscribe, and comment. Bro, Josh, settle down. Settle down.
Yeah, I love those. I love the super high energy intro, and then it's just like, hi, Greg here.
It's like,
about, the iPhone 7.
Like, what is happening? Like, what are you doing?
That's why I've never done an intro. I don't have the energy to match whatever that intro is. You match the energy of your intro, which is good, but I could never pull that off. When I infamously did the when I tried to do your intro, people saw my lack of energy. That kind of stuff.
But that was awesome though. That was one of the better.
Oh, yeah.
Did I put that in one of my actual videos? I can't remember if I did or not. It was so good. That was actually one of the things that I wanted to make sure I did, that if I was going to have some type of little intro like that everything else matched that energy, because I remember just watching other YouTube stuff and be like, settle down. All right. Anyway, let's get out of beforecast and get right into those shenanigans. So let's put up the chat overlay. The chat overlay. Oh, look, the Russian bots are back. They're everywhere.
Oh, Привет,
they're literally everywhere.
comrades.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Привет.
Yeah, Sean says he still has his Christmas decorations up too. Yeah, terrible. Oh, and your hair is cut. We can talk about all those things, man.
I did get a haircut.
Look at you, looking all good. Or looking at least like Greg, one of the two. All right, let's do this countdown. Let's get into this.
There's nothing I like more than receiving a compliment and then doing something to immediately squash all that goodwill. Like looking awful after someone goes, nice haircut, and you try to make yourself look as ugly as possible.
No, I feel that.
Speaking of haircuts, I'm looking at my Twitter feed. I see Michael Fisher doing some Twitch streams, and it's funny when he does the Twitch streams, not as much investment in the hair, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's got to let his hair down, so to speak, as well. I love Michael.
How long do you think he spends on his hair? Did we ask him that when he was on the podcast? I feel like we did.
We need to get him. Well, we need to get him back on the podcast because I love Michael Fisher. He's one of the.
Listen to that episode.
He's perhaps my favorite creator, and he's the one guy that I watch every single video from. So I feel like we need to get him back on. I mean, we have some big plans ourselves, but definitely want to see if I can convince him or trick him to getting back on, or blackmailing him to get him back on, whatever works.
I think having Michael Fisher on was one of the most like street cred I've had with like a guest, where people are like, you got him on? Whoa.
I mean, iJustine wasn't too small either.
No, iJustine was pretty big too. Yeah.
We've actually had some great guests.
I got a lot of people saying like, you got Michael Fisher?
Well, you just never know. More of that may be to come. All right. So let's go ahead and get this countdown going. If I regrew my hair out, I'd have a reverse mohawk. Jeez, I don't even want to know. It'd be something terrible if I tried it. All right, ready? Gadget Cast countdown, baby. In 3, 2, 1, record.
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, world. Welcome to the Gadget Cast. Usually, I try and prepare something to say, but I have no clue what the heck I'm going to be talking about today. But I'm here with my buddy Travis MCP, and we messed up the intro.
Space travel.
It's fine.
Yeah, and you didn't even have iJustine, so you tripled. You just
I
fumbled.
just say space travel.
There we go. That's close enough. Anyway, Gadget Cast is back. You couldn't keep us away because we keep getting new sponsors every week. Who's the sponsor this week there, Greggy?
Well, after the Taco Bell ordeal and all the pain and suffering that has caused our listeners who went out and got the $10 taco pass, and all the DMs I received of people eating a taco every day, sad to say, some of them didn't make it, and they will not be joining us on this Gadget Cast. Listen, I thought today we would talk about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, and that is chicken sandwiches.
I like chicken
And
sandwiches.
I just want to say that, Exhibit A over here, the spicy, crispy chicken sandwich from Subway is an abomination. And
Whoa.
Subway has no business making a chicken sandwich.
I didn't know they did. Wait, I was literally at Subway this morning.
Oh, you were at Subway this morning?
Yeah.
For what? What are you doing at Subway?
For a breakfast sandwich. I love breakfast sandwiches.
Oh, that might have been the worst answer I could have heard. Subway does breakfast sandwiches?
Yeah, so they have egg and cheese, sausage, egg, or not sausage, sorry, steak and egg, which is really good, but that's not what I got. I made my own. What is wrong with you, Greg?
A Subway breakfast sandwich? I can't think of anything worse. I don't know. I might have to find a new co-host after this.
Look.
You
In
eat
fairness,
Subway breakfast sandwiches?
Hold on. Okay, hold on for a second, Greg. First of all, I am from the East Coast, and I happen to know that there's some incredible breakfast sandwiches on the East Coast. Little delis, little this, that, and the others. Little hole in the walls. Where I live, that doesn't exist, right? So you pretty much just have to go to wherever you can go to get a damn breakfast sandwich. They don't have Wawas out here. They don't have Dunkin' Donuts. They don't have the little mamas and papas, little delis and stuff that you have. We don't have that. So let me try to be great by getting what I can get.
No.
Terrible.
This is pain. It's pain and suffering. I can't see you live like this. I can't picture going to Subway for anything, let alone a breakfast sandwich. I just feel like that has got to be complete misery.
Listen, you get used to it after a while because they don't. Once upon a time, listen, back when I lived on the East Coast, when I was from Delaware, actually, there was this little hole in the wall place where I could get a Philly cheesesteak. And, when you live on the East Coast, close to Pennsylvania, the Philly cheesesteaks taste good, but they don't taste as good as Philly. But at least they taste really good. Out here, they try to be too fancy with it. You don't really get a cheesesteak kind of like, the closest thing I would say is we have a Charlie's. I don't know if you have, what those are, Charlie's cheesesteaks place, usually in the mall.
I've heard of those, yeah.
Yeah, we have that. That's the closest thing we have because I'm in Seattle. I'm so far away from Philly that there's nothing even close to it. And there are no real I shouldn't say that there are none. There are a couple, but there's very few hole in the wall places. And I used to say when I lived on the East Coast, food is good if you go to a hole in wall because it has to be because no one's going to go to a hole in wall to eat unless the food is good. But that's not the
place.
Case
has been there for 30 years and you walk in and you're like, how is this place in business? It's good because
100%.
Why the heck are people going there in the first place when it's so dirty and run down? But somehow they're still afloat and they're making a killing because there's like a line out the door too.
Yeah,
it's like a small little place. I feel for you living over there and not having a delicious breakfast sandwich every morning. I think I might have to try a Subway breakfast sandwich just to see what the experience is. Would people want to watch that? I should put that on my Twitter. I'll go to Subway. We'll live stream me ordering a Subway breakfast sandwich, and we'll see how that goes. I didn't even know Subway made breakfast sandwiches. That's the worst part.
Of course,
I can't remember the last time I had Subway.
No, I always get when I usually get a tuna sandwich or the meatballs are really good. But again, they're not going to be as good as a meatball sandwich from the East Coast, so it's not fair. It's almost like you saying, well, I went and got some coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, and I would laugh at you because I live in Seattle where coffee is everywhere of any kind, and our coffee is going to smoke the whatever it is you're drinking, whatever tar that you're drinking over there. So it is what it is.
Number one. Number one, look at this. It says Seattle. And I make my own espresso. I make my own coffee. And we have good coffee shops over here, to be fair.
I'm sure you have. Okay. You think you do because that's what you're used to, much like the same situation with me. It's like, I'm kind of used to this. Jessica Simpson verified there's actual meat in the meatball. Is Jessica Simpson, is she like a person who's trying to do something like that. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to her. Lots of
Well,
funny comments.
all
in
I
the
want to
chat.
say is that I feel like there's too many chicken sandwiches. I think Subway shouldn't be in the chicken sandwich game. I think that's one step too far for them.
I agree with that.
And
I agree with that.
you
I
know,
agree
we
with that.
got Popeye's chicken sandwich. That's probably the best one.
It's pretty good.
And what's the second best? Jollibee makes a pretty good chicken sandwich. You ever have Jollibee?
Jollibee's out here. I don't know if I've ever had their chicken sandwich.
Either
before.
chicken sandwich. It's really, really good.
I will. I'll give it a shot.
And then who's third? I got to give a third, and then I don't know who would be third. People say the Burger King chicken sandwich is good. It's not. I feel like
I like the original chicken sandwich. That actually is one of my favorite. That longer one. I like that. Here we are again. Now, we talked about this last week that we would have a fast food podcast. I think we could really have a fast food podcast, Craig. I really think we could. And I think I know the date that we should at least test that theory out with a particular person who could join us from that as well. Just throwing that out there between me and you. But yeah, no, the chicken sandwiches from there. You don't think it's good? You don't like the Burger King chicken? The original, it's called the original chicken sandwich.
Nah, I feel like I've outgrown that. That's like a younger thing. There's so many better chicken sandwiches that I wouldn't want to go to Burger King, to be honest. They tried to like make one like a Popeyes one, and it's like a clone of it, but it's just not good.
Yeah,
it's
that's true. Same. You are right about that. That thing is terrible. I don't know what they were thinking.
I haven't had that long one in a very long time. I might have to revisit that. But I the last one I got from there was like, all right, why are you guys even bothering? Someone says Chick-fil-A is good. I'm not a big Chick-fil-A fan. I got to be honest.
It's
People
okay.
get upset when I say that. You know what my problem with Chick-fil-A is? It's like too popular, and there's always like a line out the door.
Yes,
and it's not that good to wait in a line. I'm not waiting in a giant line for fast food.
Do you know why it's popular though? And I've said this from the start. It's not that their chicken is great. It's that their sauces are. And proof's in the pudding. You can actually buy the Chick-fil-A sauce and some of the other sauces from Amazon, which I have done over the last couple of months. And it pretty much makes any chicken that you have a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Because the reality is their chicken's only so good, but their sauce is ridiculously good.
I'd have to try that. Get the Chick-fil-A sauce, mix it in a Popeyes, and maybe that's good. But Popeyes has good sauce too. I don't know. People died over the Popeye sandwich, so it's the best to me. No one's died over Chick-fil-A. I'm sorry, but people have died over Popeyes, and that is default the best chicken sandwich. If you're dying for a chicken sandwich, it's good.
Greg, we have to do a fast food podcast at this point now. I'm really feeling
we're
like
certainly not going to do a tech podcast in about 2 months. I don't know.
I know, dude. All right, let's get into some stuff, because while I actually could do this for the entire hour, I'm pretty sure at some point people are going to get upset. Does Popeye sandwich have the new M1 processor?
Yes, the Popeye sandwich does have an M1 in it. It's very energy efficient.
Okay. All right, let's real quick talk about iMessage in the news. Of course, if you've been paying attention, I actually did kind of a video on this. The green versus blue bubble thing. I actually did a video about this a long time ago when you and I exposed what's his name?
Exposed. I don't know.
What's his name? Lou. On box therapy.
Oh yeah.
On the case thing. But I mentioned in there, not this part has nothing to do with Lou, about like people bullying people for the blue green bubble thing. It was like 2 years ago when we did that. And it's still ongoing, but that's because the reason why it's come back up again is there's some type of article or something, I think in the New York Post or something where they were basically saying that it's the societal thing, and if you're paying attention to high schools, this is very true. Like in the United States, iPhones dominate. In high schools. Actually, the video I just talked about that I did like 2 days ago, some of the statistics I read were up to 90% of high schoolers are iPhone users, which is kind of crazy. But there's a lot of bullying and stuff. And what's interesting from the adult standpoint, I've had a couple people tell me, one in the comments and one on Twitter, that women have refused to date them because they have a green bubble. Like they found out they had a green bubble and they wouldn't date them, which is insane. So let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about what Google said in a minute, because that was ridiculous. But let's start there. The green versus blue bubble thing. Do you find yourself cringing at all when you see a green bubble come up in your messages, or it's the same to you?
I I wouldn't
Be
say
honest.
I cringe. No,
Be
I'm gonna be
honest.
honest. I wouldn't say I
Alright.
cringe because one of my friends who contacts me a lot has an Android phone, and it's not that I cringe. Like it's just that I know how SMS works, and I know there are times where you'll like send a message and it'll just be like hung up there for a while and not sending, or someone will say they never received it, or any sort of photo or video sharing is basically like a no go because the quality is just such awfulness that
Mhm.
it's not that I'm not like I'm not going to be your friend, but maybe there are times where it's like normally I would share a video with someone and I'm not necessarily going to share it with him if it's not in like a link on YouTube already. Like if I have
Right.
like a funny video that I made and I send it to like one of my friends or something like that, if they have iMessage, I know to just send that off it and get that ready. But if it's on like SMS, because my sister uses Android too, it's like sometimes I just don't share all that stuff with them because I just know how much of a hassle it is, and I don't want to go through that extra hassle.
Yeah. No, I think it depends, because if I'm just having a quick conversation with someone, I don't really care. But if they're in a group text, it's a hot mess.
Yes.
Like that's terrible. If you are kind of going back and forth with someone and you want to be able to do some quick emojis or whatever, that's kind of a bit of a mess. So, from the perspective of usability, it can be an issue. Now, the big thing on Twitter and the like is that, they should just adopt RCS. And then there was a call out by one of the executives of Google talking about how what was it, that Apple was profiting off of bullying or something silly like that, which is
Yes.
one of the most cringe and hilarious comments I've ever seen from an executive. I can't even believe he really believes that, because that is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. I don't even know if I want to like go into detail, because it should be obvious why that's ridiculous. But regardless, what do you think about Apple not jumping? I mean, first of all, I don't feel like they even need. Why would you bother? What do you think about Apple not necessarily embracing RCS, or should they embrace RCS so that the Android side of the fence can have fun as well?
I think they should do RCS based on everything I've personally read about the technology. I feel like it's a better technology than SMS, and SMS has so many shortcomings that RCS kind of solves. I know it's not perfect, but based on what Google has like fixed with RCS, making it like end-to-end encrypted, I feel like Apple, being a privacy-focused company, should realize that SMS, there is no encryption there. If you send an SMS, like people can access that pretty easily. So I feel like it would behoove Apple. I know maybe I still think iMessage would be stronger because there's a lot of features still with RCS that you necessarily wouldn't get. And I feel like iMessage would be able to to evolve to add new features, where RCS, because it is a standard, would probably take a little bit longer to add features because a lot of people have to agree to it. But I feel like Apple should add RCS because, at least to me, on my surface level knowledge, it does seem to be better than SMS. With that being said, though, I have seen some people who use RCS say there are some issues where like people won't get messages. Maybe that is because like Apple doesn't have it and like the implementation like trips it up, where maybe it goes to send like an RCS instead of an SMS. But I think Apple should use it, even if there's going to be like a slight competitive loss for iMessage, which I necessarily don't think there even would be that much of a competitive loss. I still think people would want like the blue bubble kind of situation.
Yeah. So a couple things. You have to not even all Android users have access to RCS right now. I mean, I think at this point you should be able to have access to it, but it's not a guarantee. It's not a lock. It's not like, oh, I have an Android phone, I have RCS. It's not true. There's ways of testing it. You can Google it. I'm looking at a couple of articles right here. But let's just assume for a minute that all Android phones had it. Let's just say Apple figures out how to make that happen. Or sorry, not Apple. Google makes it happen tomorrow. Snap of the fingers. All Android users have RCS. All right. Should Apple support it? I mean, maybe for the good of communications, they should. But as a business decision, I don't see the point. Like, what's the point what's the benefit to them?
I
And
don't.
those are two different things. Now, it's should they do it from a moral perspective, if you want to say that, and from a business perspective, should they spend the money to? And I don't know how hard this would be to make iMessage work with RCS. Probably Renee could probably answer that better than me. But let's say that it takes them 6 months to do it well. That's a lot of money to spend for no real benefit to Apple's bottom line. Like, what is that? How does that help them? Now, again, I want to be clear. That's not me saying that they shouldn't support it. I'm just asking the question: what's the business like? If you had to write up a sheet for the CEO of Apple and say, this is why you should support RCS, what are you saying in there? And at what point does it help Apple?
From a business point of view, I don't know if it necessarily helps them at all, other than the fact that they say they care about privacy. And based on what I know about RCS is that it is it's more secure if it's end-to-end encrypted than SMS would be. But I feel like we always get in this talk of like, what's good for the company competitively? How can they make more money? And I know at the end of the day, that's what most companies are obviously here to do. But there's something to be said for the user experience and purposely keeping a user experience bad just to make more money. And I feel like that's very anti-Apple. I feel like Apple usually doesn't take that route unless they have good reason to do something like that. To make the user experience worse is ultimately going to be bad for you, because anytime that you communicate with someone in a green bubble through an SMS and they don't get a message, that might reflect badly on SMS as a technology. That might reflect bad on the carrier. But what can happen is that people will go, every time I send a message on my iPhone, my Android friends don't get it. And that's Apple's fault. They could also take that approach too. And I'm sure a lot of people in the US might actually have that point of view where they try and send these messages and they go, well, is it my fault? Is it my phone's fault? And where Apple doesn't have a dominant market share in places like Europe or China, that actually might be a bigger deal. I know here Apple has such a huge market share that a lot of people just their instinct is to go, well, it's Android's fault because they don't have this system in place. But in other parts of the world where iOS is not as dominant, I feel like Apple does risk losing customers that way if they don't adopt just basic technology at this point. And I really feel like SMS is such an old technology that, yeah, if it's not here today, it's not the biggest deal, but like, are we still going to be using SMS in the next 5 years? Like, I really hope not. I really hope there's something to replace it, because it is an awful user experience at this point.
Yeah, it was cool for when it came out, but it's definitely outlived its usefulness. I don't know. It's there's a lot of good comments in the chat about this. People on different sides of the fence. I see both sides pretty clearly. Like,
I would like to see, like, if Apple isn't going to implement RCS, I would like to hear their reasoning as to why not.
mm-hmm.
You know, if they have like a significantly good like reason of like, well, all those messages still go through the carrier and they're not meeting our definition of end-to-end encryption, and it gives too much control to this certain group, or it all goes through Android servers. I don't know, whatever, or Google servers, whatever they're going to say. I would like to see their reasoning as to it. But right now, it's just they say nothing about it, which maybe speaks to a business practice of, well, we just want iMessage because we know that's the best way to communicate, and that will get people buying iPhones.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is, a lot of people are talking about WhatsApp. A lot of people from Europe. There was a really interesting kind of hot fire clubhouse the other day. I don't know if you heard this, that Viper was in, and they were talking about this. Oh my God. Did you hear that one guy who was just talking about how the US are all ignorant because they won't install an app? And I'm like, well, hold on for a second. First of all, it's not like WhatsApp has the best reputation. Let's be clear about that. Number one. Number two, why should I have to? It's funny because someone else in my comments were like, why don't they just, one person said, I thought this was hilarious. They said something like, why not be a good friend and just install an app? And I'm like, why not be a good friend and just use the thing that everyone else is using? Like, you can use that same argument for both sides of the argument. So don't say, oh, it's just one app to install. Well, what if I don't want to install it? Why should I have to install it? And much to what Tech King Mike said is, you know, sometimes you go, okay, well, look, I'll try to get my parents to install this app. They don't know how to use it. They don't want to use it. They just want to pick up their phone and text somebody. Imagine having to install something before I could talk to you. Like, in America, you can pick up a phone and send a text message. And as soon as you start up the phone and it's connected, you can text message somebody. With WhatsApp, you got to log in. You have to have an account. You got to have friends. You got to do all these weird things. It's like, Why do I have to do that? Why can I, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be SMS. It can be whatever it is. Why can't it be more ingrained into the native support of the phone? I think that's the problem. Yeah, but you're right. Overseas, like WhatsApp seems to be the dominant and kind of most default thing. And it's not only is WhatsApp a text messaging thing, it's also like a payment thing. Like it's its own ecosystem. Like it's a big deal outside of the US. And that's fair. That's cool. That's dope. But I don't want to have to install something else. I mean, personally.
Yeah, and I know Facebook owned WhatsApp, and that is like a big point for a lot of people, to the point where they don't want to use that as the default messaging service. And if you have a strong opinion on like privacy, you would never want to use WhatsApp because all that information is getting funneled through Facebook. So I don't even believe, I mean, the problem is people will say like everyone uses WhatsApp in Europe. And I'm sure it probably has like the largest market share, but there's no way everyone uses it. That's just statistically impossible. Like I'm looking up stats right now about the average use of like WhatsApp in Europe. And like some countries have like ridiculously high percentages. Like Spain says 89.5% of people use WhatsApp. But if you go to like the UK, 70% of the people use WhatsApp, which is high, but there's still 30% of people who aren't using WhatsApp. And that's kind of more of a similar situation to what we have here in the United States, maybe with iMessage. So I just don't, I feel like it would be nice if there was a universal chat app, but I just don't know if that would ever be a thing, because that would basically mean one person has control over all of that, whether that's the carriers, Google, Apple, Facebook, whoever. If we all had a universal chat app that everyone used, I think that would actually, I know it's nice because, oh, I can reach Travis, I can reach whoever on this platform, I can send them a message, I know they're going to have it. But if they have complete control over it, what kind of awful systems will they implement knowing they could just get away with it because everyone's using that? If everyone really used WhatsApp, what's to stop Facebook in the future from implementing some awful policy or implementing some payment system where it's like, well, everyone has to use WhatsApp, so now it's $10 a month.
Yeah.
Thank you. So competition is always good. You never want someone to have complete control over something. And I know messaging seems like such a simple and basic service, but there wouldn't be as many players in this space and as many people trying to get control of this platform if it wasn't important. And it is very important. It is basically the main way we have private communication with anyone nowadays. So to give complete control to one company, to just accept that, I feel like that's a really slippery slope. And to hear that argument from people from Europe who usually seem to be like, we have a lot more options than you people over in the States, is kind of weird to me. It's like, like, why would you want lockdown of just, get WhatsApp?
Yeah. So for those of you listening to the audio podcast later, first of all, thank you as always, but I definitely want to encourage you to come over to the YouTube channel and watch some of the comments people are saying that in the chat are really good. They're some really good questions and some really interesting thoughts. So definitely make sure you check out the YouTube channel for some of these really cool comments. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're picking something, you're picking something. And you're in whatever that is. And rarely are people across multiple messaging apps, because at that point it's no longer convenient. And a lot of people are willing to pay for convenience with like compromise, which could mean a lot of things. It could mean your security. It could mean paying for it. It could be whatever. By the way, for the most part, if something is free, your payment is you access to you and your data is typically the payment for something that is quote free. Your
I think
information.
504 has a good question.
We say, what if Apple let Android users use iMessage for a monthly fee? So this has come up multiple times, and it actually came up in some documentation and in the lawsuit with, I think, Epic, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And there were emails sent behind closed doors, so to speak, from some high-level executives that actually wanted to allow iMessage to be able to be accessed on Android. And the pushback was always, in so many words, it's our competitive advantage. And, that's kind of, I mean, is that how you interpreted it, Greg?
Yeah, I basically interpret it that iMessage is a competitive advantage, and I think the main takeaway from those internal emails, because listen, we always judge Apple as one company, but it's made up of so many different people with so many different ideas, is that they were scared that if they put iMessage on Android, that one of the things that's so strong when you have like an iPhone household because of iMessage is you buy your kids iPhones, but if they had iMessage on Android, well, you could just go buy a cheap Android phone. Why would you buy them like a $600 iPhone? So that's what they were scared of, and what it seemed like in those internal emails.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's funny because this seems like such a simple problem to fix. On the surface, it is. It really is not that complicated. It's like, sure, everyone uses a thing, find one API or something that everyone can dig into, and then just use that, right? But no one's willing to do it.
Yeah, I feel like iMessage on Android too. Like it sounds nice. I would not like the people I know that use Android besides like tech reviewers, they would sign up for it. But like the people I know, like who aren't like super into tech, who use Android, there is no way they would pay monthly to use iMessage. There's just no way.
No.
They don't think there's a problem with the green bubbles. Like they don't get it. Like I try and explain it to them, like the benefits of using not just iMessage, but any messaging platform, like WhatsApp, or even like DMing someone. Like what are the advantages of using that instead of going through SMS? And they can't seem to like figure it out. Like they really don't know what the problem is a lot of the time. And it's like, well, you can send emojis, you can do reactions, you get better video quality. And for a lot of those people, they just don't seem to really understand it that well.
They definitely wouldn't pay for it, especially when you consider the average Android user. A lot of the apps that are on their phones are already free apps, and it's unlikely that they're going to pay a subscription fee for something for messaging, especially when there's so many free options. In addition to that, when you look at the top selling Android phones across the world, none of them are flagship phones. They are usually budget level phones, which means people are not trying to spend a whole bunch on their phones anyway. So they're definitely not going to spend an extra couple bucks to do iMessage to their one or two Apple friends. I don't dislike the idea. I think it's actually a cool kind of compromise, but I don't think Apple wants to do it.
It would have to be the reverse situation. You would have to have like Google as the dominant messaging platform with whatever messaging platform they had, and then iOS users would probably pay for that. But on the flip side, most Android users don't buy a lot of things on their phones. That's why like Android has the most market share. But if you look at like App Store sales from the Google Play Store versus Apple's App Store,
it's not even
developers usually target Apple first because they're going to make way more money on the App Store because just statistically, people who use like an iPhone have more disposable income.
Or they're willing to spend the money for the type of apps they get to. Yeah, 100%. Same thing with, by the way, ironically, the Amazon App Store, which is kind of an offshoot of Android, the conversion there is pretty high too. It's because it's targeted to the like Android app developers like it there because first of all, when you're using like one of their Amazon tablets or something, you bought it for cheap, right? And the whole reason that those things exist are to sell you more things on Amazon. And a lot of the people that are using those those tablets and apps and stuff are older people who just want whatever, and they're more willing to pay for stuff because it's through Amazon. So they already have this brand recognition of this app store. And even though it is limited compared to Android, when something's there, they tend to do pretty good. Like I'm telling, it's weird. I was kind of surprised by that too.
I believe it because people just have their payment information in Amazon already. So it's like, oh, I'll buy an app there. No problem. Katya brings up a good point about Hangouts because I feel like Google really missed an opportunity in the early days. The first like big messaging platform that I used was Google Hangouts. And that was like my main form of messaging for a long time. And I can't believe they really like dropped the ball with that. They had like so many different chat apps that they were experimenting with. And if you go back in time and look at all the features that Google Hangouts had, it was ridiculous. You had messaging, you had group video calls before anyone like really mastered them. Like Hangouts was doing that way back in the day. Yeah. And I don't know what happened there with Google because Hangouts was pretty popular. And now what? It's like it's not a thing anymore. Like it's discontinued, right?
You used to be able to stream on YouTube with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's around somewhere. I think there might be some aspect of it going on, but it's not the way it used to be.
Let's see. I just got to search. I haven't used it in a while.
I think it's in, like, if you're in your Gmail, I think I see it on the side there or something.
It is
But it's so hard to even know what exists with Google because they have so many things for to accomplish the same thing, which isn't, oh, choice is great. Well, choice is great until you have too many choices.
Yeah,
and it's just an obstacle. Yeah. Hangouts went corporate is what people in chat are saying.
Hangouts launched in 2013, and I just looked at my Hangouts, and I went to like my first Hangouts thing, and it was in 2013. So look at that. Look how that's so long ago, and it was so popular. All my friends use Google Hangouts, and I don't think anyone uses it now. To the point that I thought it was dead.
Not at all. So anyway, we'll talk more about that. Of course, leave us some emails, voicemails for the podcast. We'll definitely talk more about that in a future episode as well. Now, I do want to talk about this other thing, which has come up and been twisting people's nipples a little bit too.
Oh.
And that is AirTags. So as you remember, as first discovered or even talked about on GadgetCast. Now, I feel kind of proud that this basically spun from the minds of GadgetCast. That when AirTags were first announced, I wish I knew the episode. A matter of fact,
before
hold on. Well, go ahead.
It was before AirTags were announced that we've had this conversation.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I still need to get rid of one of these other GadgetCast headphones. So maybe as the way to get rid of it, because Greg never comes up with a thing. Maybe whoever can find out what episode it is that we first talked about using AirTags as tracking somebody without their knowledge. If you can find that episode and, I don't know, tweet us or email us or whatever, maybe I'll send the last GadgetCast headphone. So again, it's a Soundcore 10 with our logo on it. There was only like 6 made in the world. Soundcore Anchor themselves made it. And I'll send it to you because I'm kind of curious what episode that was. But anyway, I remember Greg talking about it and I was like, well, when these things come out, I'm going to try it. So I tried it and it worked. I was able to track my best friend around town without him knowing. And this is the video that's on my YouTube channel right now. It's got like 260 or 50,000 views or something, and it still getting views because just recently in the news, what I basically said in that video is starting to happen. Criminals are using it to track people. Now, there's the controversy here is not so much is this a surprise, but it's like 2 or 3-fold. Number one, well, trackers have existed for a long time. Why is Apple catching flack? And number two, in my follow-up video, I said, well, looking at it from a business perspective, Apple should just get rid of AirTags because, like, what's the point? They're not making enough money off these things for it to be worth the PR risk of something bad happening, right? At least that's still my belief. I still believe that. Now, from the technical aspect, why this is different than things like Tile is that it's actually more effective because unlike Tile, where you have to have the app installed on the phone in order for it to track anything, this just uses iPhones as basically pinging beacons. So you don't have to have any app installed. Your phone or someone else's phone, some random iPhone, just needs to be nearby to then ping that information somewhere else. So it's incredibly effective. Now, there's other ways of doing this. There's GPS ones, and okay, fine. But as soon as, and we've said this a million times in this podcast, Greg, as soon as Apple does something, it legitimizes it. And what it basically has done is legitimize a $30 people tracker. And now it's all in the news, and people are now saying, well, should they get rid of it? Should they not? AirTags are fine. It's not part of the problem. Humans are the problem. But the thing is, on that video, if you look at my comments, I think I pinned it. A guy from my follow-up video said, my girlfriend, I think he said his girlfriend or his cousin or something, he told her about that. They checked her car had one, and 20 of the cars in her apartment complex they found hidden AirTags on the bottom of their cars. That's kind of crazy. This is not a onesie twosie thing. This is happening multiple times, and multiple people in the comments are saying, yeah, that happened to me.
Wow. It's creepy.
So what do you think? Generally speaking about the quote controversy of this, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I remember having the conversation because AirTags was like rumored for so long. We're like, what's the holdup with these things? What a simple product to launch. And I think we basically discussed that there's a lot of privacy implications with launching a network like this. And Apple really has to go out of their way, being the company they are, to handle it well, where other people could probably just completely ignore the fact that that there might be unwarranted tracking because they wouldn't get the publicity. Um, I know Apple's taken steps here. Jeez. I know Apple's taken steps here for the features to actually let you know if an AirTag is tracking you. I have a couple AirTags. I have one on my keys, and I was actually walking around probably about like a month ago, and my phone just gave me an alert going, "There's an AirTag by you," and it was my AirTag, and I'm like, "Okay, that's like a little excessive. Like this is my device. You don't have to warn me that there's an AirTag near me." So I commend them for actually going through the steps of warning people and implementing the system and actually thinking about, we don't want this to be used for people tracking, to the point of where when they first announced these features that you could check for AirTags, a lot of people were upset because they plan to use AirTags as a way to deter thieves, where really Apple doesn't even want you to use it for that reason. They simply want you to use it as a system to find lost items. So they are really proactive about warning you about this stuff. But as you pointed out, and your stuff, that if you're on Android, well, what are you going to do? Because while iOS may pop up these alerts, and even that throws into question how effective it is at popping up these alerts on a timely basis. If you're being tracked for 24 hours, that's a long period of time to go getting tracked. They made an app for Android where you can kind of try and find the AirTags and you can scan for them. But most people who own an Android phone are not going to download that. Most people are not going to walk into their car every day and scan for an AirTag to see if they're being tracked, because most people couldn't even fathom the idea that anyone would want to track them. So I think for Apple, it's an issue, obviously, from a publicity standpoint, because they are a big company. Any negative story that AirTags generates is going to reflect poorly on Apple as a company. But with that being said, it is unfair in a way to point all the blame at Apple, because there's devices that do this. I looked on Amazon one time. There is literally a $30 GPS tracker, not Bluetooth, live tracking, GPS live updates for $30. And they advertise people tracking. They advertise it. They say you can stalk people and put this on a car, and it's already magnetic, so you can just attach it to the bottom of their car and you can track people all you want. So I don't know if the cat's out of the bag, because everyone knows that these devices are a thing now. I don't know if Apple discontinued AirTags tomorrow, if it's kind of too late, like people are aware of the technology already, or if maybe, I don't know, maybe that would be enough to where people go, oh, I guess these things don't exist anymore. It's really hard to answer that, because I feel like Apple's done what they need to do to try the best they can. I'm sure there's probably more steps they could implement, but I really feel like they've gone out of their way to think about this from a privacy standpoint. And there are so many third-party devices that you could buy that do the job better as a people tracker, that there is no form of scanning. So I don't know what's worse, to kind of have AirTags be popular and even just have the ability to scan them, or to get rid of them at this point and then give these people these really awful options that you can use. And there is no such thing as scanning for these devices with like just your phone.
Yeah, I mean, for as long as they are in the control of Apple, Apple can continue to roll out software updates to then kind of help figure this out. So that's one point to say, well, if they need to be out, it's probably better for them to be out so Apple can then figure out a way to solve this. Because if they don't have the product out and you leave it to like Samsung and Tile, they're not really on top of this. And by the way, the Samsung Smart Tag and Tile don't work the same way. Like I said, the Smart Tag, I believe, only works with like Galaxy S20 and above. So there's tons of phones out there where it just plain doesn't work. So it's not the same. It's just not the same. Having said all that, it is a really complicated thing. And if, I was in the boardroom when they were coming up with this product, I would have said, okay, here's all the risks involved with making this product. Now, how much money are we going to make on these things versus like almost anything else we sell? And if it's not that much, if it doesn't move the needle, I say don't do it. Because what's the point? You're risking a lot for probably not that much money when you compare it to everything else that they're doing. And it's just not worth it. Like it's just not worth it. So now that it's out, the genie's out of the bottle. I mean, you got to figure it out, I suppose. But I would have stopped it before it got started. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good product too. That's the shame, because like it does what it advertises it does. Like, I don't know. I have it on my keys. If I need to find them, it plays a sound, or it does like the little arrow pointing thing and it works. It's a product you kind of forget about until you need it. So it's kind of like not really on your mind. I just don't know what the alternative is. Like, I feel like we just kind of need to educate people about the unfortunate world we live in. Because again, if someone really wants to track you, there are better devices than AirTags where they can do real-time tracking and you can be in serious trouble.
Yep.
It's just whether or not people knew the technology existed. The fact that Apple sells these in the store and you got a random person walking in, they see this $30 item that they didn't know existed. Now they're going, wait a minute, I could track someone with this.
Yep.
That's the problem. You're kind of telling people about this product that exists. I think a way that Apple could maybe do a little bit better with AirTags is, I know Apple has a very strict privacy standpoint where they always put the user first. But with AirTags, I feel like if you find a scanned AirTag, I think the thing to do is just tell you who put that AirTag on your vehicle, because then you could get them in serious trouble to the point of where maybe you wouldn't ever consider using AirTags to do something like this, because it could just lead to like an instant arrest or something like that.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to be the one to have to try to figure this out for them. I think it's kind of deeper than probably what we're even talking about. But yeah, I mean, they work good for what their primary use is for, what they were invented for. Of course, people always figure out new and exciting ways to use things in ways they're not supposed to be used.
It's just that awful place of technology where you invent something and you think of like you think of all these good things you can do with the product, but someone is always going to find something awful to use the technology for.
100%. All right. Well, I want to talk. I'm having this weird headache this morning. I don't know what's going on with me. I finally got my blood pressure medicine back, so hopefully we'll get back on that train so I can get my surgery I was supposed to get done that I didn't get done. And then I can maybe have some of those things that I miss out on. Greg, I haven't had like a good scoop of ice cream since my gallbladder attack, man. You know how hard that is for a fat butt like me? It's very difficult, man. I wanted to have a McFlurry, soon.
Oh, no.
So, I'm not going to be able to do that in the time that I would like to do that. So, yeah, I need to get that done.
Yes.
Yeah. So what else? And is there anything else we should talk about before we head out? Because I want to do something at the top of the hour. What do we got? Anything else in the news?
I think we can end it there.
All right. We do a little aftercast. Yeah. So something really cool is going to happen in 2 weeks. We'll probably say something more clear next week. I don't know. We'll see. And I'm excited for it. So I hope all of y'all stay tuned to GadgetCast for more of that cool stuff. And again, if you find that episode and you figure out a way to reach Greg or myself, I'll send out that final GadgetCast headphone. The last one with the GadgetCast logo on it. Only 6 of them in the world. Soundcore made them for us, which was amazing. And there's one left. And then there's one without the logo. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have the logo. So, but we'll give this one to, because I figure if you're going to spend the time listening to GadgetCast episodes, find that you're probably a cool GadgetCast fan. I will send this headphone out to you. So let's see if we can figure that out. All right. Well, anyway, that was GadgetCast. So he's Greg. I'm Travis. We'll see you next week. Oh, see. One of the reasons I wasn't originally in the internet is how early adopters use it for porn. They did? I didn't know that. It's never too cold for ice cream, Katya. Settle down, young lady. Oh my gosh. My head hurts so bad. Hey, I tell ya. Man, it's not been feeling good, man. It's not been feeling good. What you gonna do the rest of the day, man? Headaches just suck, bro. Why do we need to have headaches? Who invented headaches and why?
Yeah, who invented headaches? What the hell? Take it back.
That's terrible. What's
How
the point
dare
of a
you?
headache? What
What's
point
the
does it
point?
serve?
What's our body
so
telling us? It's so stupid.
Ridiculous. So stupid.
Our bodies are so stupid.
I hate bodies. They're dumb.
It is a good point though. What is the point of the headache? What is it trying to tell you?
But that's the thing. Like pain, generally speaking, is to tell you, like, if you put your hand on a stove and it's hot, it's like move your hand. Okay,
Yes.
your head hurts. I didn't do
What does that
anything. I'm just
mean?
saying.
I agree with you. What the hell is the point of the headache, body? Like, what?
I know.
Hiccups too. We gotta get rid of that.
That's
the deal?
useless. What? That's like silent letters in words. Like, it's so useless, so pointless.
Maybe
What's
the
the point
headache
of-
was supposed to be like our spidey sense, but it got messed up and we don't know what to do with it.
Oh, maybe it's an unfinished feature.
Yeah. We were supposed to get like a cool feature and then it got all messed up. Maybe like people in the future it'll like activate.
I believe that. I believe that. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Man, my superhero I'm going to become a superhero.
Maybe it's like a UFO overhead and it's like transmitting like signals into your brain. You ever think of that?
You think that's what it might be?
Space.
It's all. It's all on the table. Anything is possible. It's all possible. Oh, I wish you guys and gals knew what the hell was happening in 2 weeks, just so you could pray for me. It's going to be fun, though. I'm really looking forward to it.
Space travel. Space travel.
Oh my God, dude. What is going on? You know how many people, bro, I've been talking to recently that have caught COVID, even though they have like shots and everything. Bro. That's why I'm staying in my house for the next couple of weeks. Like, I'm not even leaving anymore. I've decided to just not leave.
I got Starbucks today and I did like a mobile order and I specifically did the mobile order and waited like 15 minutes like after they said it would be done so I could just go in and out. And I went in and there was like 50 people in there and then my order wasn't ready and I'm just like, what the heck? What's going on?
That's why everything's delivered to my house now, dude. I just have
it was so
food delivered.
anxiety inducing. I was like, I planned not to be in here for like a second and
dude,
what do I do?
Just use Grubhub or something. What's wrong with you, man?
Oh, the Starbucks is right near me. I don't want to order and spend like $8. I don't want the Grubhub guy to judge me for picking up a Starbucks that's 2 minutes away from my house.
Listen, he gets a little money from it. He's going to judge you in a good way. Like, thank you, man. This was the easiest money I made all day.
No, I feel like he's going to judge me and say, this guy's lazy. What the heck?
You think I give a crap? Dude, I get so much stuff delivered now. It's ridiculous. I'm trying not to go nowhere.
I'm an internet personality. I don't want him to judge me. Oh, it's Greg Gadgets. What the heck? What is that? Oh, look at this lazy guy.
That Greg is Gadgets. God. I'm going to go unsubscribe from that Greg is Gadgets.
Yeah. You think anyone's ever like met you in real life and they just unsubscribe? Like, that guy's sure.
That's you know what I wondered, and this is actually the thing. So we both have people recognize us, which is dope, right? But the one thing that I don't know, and I wonder if this has happened, is what if someone has recognized us or you or whoever and just didn't say anything because they don't like you? Like, that's even worse. Like, can you imagine, Greg, how many people maybe have? Because you said you've never really been recognized at like Apple or Best Buy or anything like that. But what if you have
people hate me that work at Apple? This guy,
which is hilarious. But what if you have actually been like, it's that Greg Gadget guy. I can't stand that guy. He's such an Apple sheep. Wouldn't that be interesting?
That'd be funny.
What would you say if someone came, oh yeah, I know who you are, but I don't really like your stuff? Like, what would you say? I think you would say like, okay. I feel like that's literally what you would say.
I'd be like, I agree. I don't like my stuff either. I'd be like, thank you.
Oh my God.
I like someone who understands. Oh, thank you so much.
No.
You made my day.
Hilarious. That's funny.
I haven't been recognized in the longest time. I think it's because of the masks. It's my saving grace.
Yeah. The only person recently is the guy at Best Buy. And now whenever I go in there, he's like, hi. I'm like, hey. Oh, and then there's a guy at church, which is really awkward.
That's awkward. I'd put an end to that.
Awkward. Yeah. Very strange. All right. Well,
stop coming up to me at church, please. Thank you.
No, I like him. He's cool. He asks good questions. I mean, he asks questions that I probably would ask if there was like a big YouTuber at I'm not a big YouTuber, but I mean, like, to him, I'm a big YouTuber, right? That's what he said.
Yes.
If I felt the same way, like if I'm walking into I don't know, whatever that maybe it's a restaurant I go to every week and I see Michael Fisher and I'm not a creator or anything, I might be like, oh, and he talk, let me ask him some of these, and he would ask similar questions that I would, like, what do you do with the stuff? Do you buy everything, or he asks good questions, so it's not bad, but he's actually not annoying. I'm actually thankful for that, because there are people just in the comment section that I'm like, I would never want to meet you in person. Like, please don't, please.
I had I took the mistake of I don't know if I should say it. Maybe I shouldn't say it.
Why not?
Soon. Should I say it?
I don't know. You can.
Hopefully.
What is it about?
I will, because maybe this would be a good
okay.
Maybe it'd be a good lesson for someone.
Okay.
I made the mistake of I'm a nice guy, I think, sometimes, and like sometimes people ask me for YouTube advice, and honestly, I try and do my best to give people advice on YouTube. And someone on my YouTube channel asked me, like, hey, I asked you one time for advice and you said to DM you on Twitter and you'd help me out. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, he was like mad. Like I didn't respond to his DM. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I get so many DMs. Send me another one and I'll try and respond to it. And then I responded to it, and like he wanted like help with like his YouTube channel. And basically I looked at his channel and it was like all over the place. And I was like, what you need to do is you really need to figure out what you want to do. Yeah. Now, people say you need to niche down, and it's kind of true. Like this guy wasn't even like he's doing cameras, video games, and Apple and Android. Like he was like
he's all over the place. Yeah,
doing a reaction video, uploading something about a celebrity, uploading something about tech, uploading something about a movie. It's like you need to find something to focus on, and that's your first step before anything. And then you just need to make some videos and get in the groove of it.
Yep.
And basically, this like plea for help just turned into, can you send me some of your stuff to help me out making YouTube videos? And I'm like, that is not your problem. You need to just find out what you want to do first and not worry about the equipment.
Oh, products? He wanted you to send him products?
He wanted me to send him like a camera.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Like, can you please, I don't have good camera. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to send you a camera.
I started with my phone, man. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, but.
Yeah. No, I listen, I've been there. No, every person that's a GadgetCast fan, I would meet for sure. Some people are saying, would you meet me? Oh, yeah, I would meet every GadgetCast. Because to be honest, the GadgetCast fans, I love the people who pay attention to my YouTube channel, but the GadgetCast fans feel a little bit more special because they're willing to spend more time with us. And I feel like they are my favorite viewers of all the content that I do. I don't know about you. That's the way I feel.
I like the GadgetCast people. I think they.
I actually hope that the next time someone recognizes me, it's from GadgetCast.
Sure, I've never been recognized by a GadgetCast person.
That would be the best. I would be so excited about that.
I'd say, get away from me.
All right. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate you so very much. And we'll see you guys and gals next time. Peace and or love.